come closer to you than me.
I'm putting in more effort.
Oh.
Alrighty. So we're back after another week off.
Yeah. I don't really think it's a week off. I think it's just...
Well, it was not a week off. You're correct.
Yeah.
It was
just
a week
like,
of
we are,
non-recording
here's
the podcast.
another podcast. Period. End of sentence. And yes, last week was a big week because you were in the final push for your seminar, your first BTE seminar, which you hosted this weekend.
Yeah.
And while I wasn't there for the first half, I was able to watch it on video because you recorded it, had it filmed.
Yeah.
2, I was there for the lead up, listening and learning as you went, kind of in preparation. 3, I was there for the second half, and of course I'm your wife. But it was really valuable. I got a lot of value out of it.
Thank you. That's
So
good. What did you get out of it?
Well, I guess what I found surprising is having heard you talk about all this stuff for the past, really the past year, there's been a lot of like starting to put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And as I described it last night, it was sort of like you were discovering all these little puzzle pieces, but not really sure kind of where they belonged. And then the seminar was like you finally put them into the right places and they created like this really awesome picture, and it was like, oh, that's what I was building. So I took out of it a couple of things. I've heard you talk about the process before.
It's like
the between the ears process. Yeah, like that tool.
Yeah.
But what's amazing about all this stuff is when you hear it and what place you're in and how you apply it is different every time.
Yeah.
So listening to that again was like, okay, wow, there was a lot of value I took out of that. Also, I think there was more value for me in understanding like how the brain works, some of the hardware stuff. Not to say like, oh, I'm off the hook. It's just how the body works, But just knowing that there's like a reason for it, not just I'm a mentally weak person,
Right.
And yeah, last night watching the lectures, I thought one of the things you did very well, which has come up in the past quite a bit, was like defining mindset.
Yeah.
Because it was funny, you're like, does anybody have a definition? And sure, people had ideas, but like nobody really, just like when CrossFit talks about what is fitness, what is the definition? So you did a great job with taking a stab at defining some terms.
Yeah.
And then mental toughness, I hadn't really actually heard you define that.
Oh.
And when you put the pieces together on that, it was like, wow, that's a really great definition for it. Which basically included, obviously, your definition of mindset, but being able to apply that when there's adversity. And we talk about that a lot. Like, hey, it's easy to practice all the good shit when things are fine.
Yeah, of course.
Mental toughness is like whatever that mindset is for you, like doing it when there is adversity. And I thought that was awesome. So I think there's probably the revisiting the seminar is a tough one because it's kind of like if you want to get all that value, go to a seminar. We're not going to tell everybody, you know what I mean? Like you need to attend. It's kind of like, like telling someone like, yeah, like this is what you do at the level 1, or this is what you do at a event, a between the ears event. It's kind of like you need to go there.
Yeah.
But it also is worth mentioning, like how there was just so many tools and so much to be learned. I think many people probably aren't sure what the seminar entails. Some people thought it was going to be 8 hours of working out.
I hope
the
not.
real value is not really in the movement. I mean, sure, that's an application of it.
Yeah.
But it was such an awesome day of like people walking away with like, and myself included, like this I don't want to say manual because there's no manual for this stuff, but some real tools and like, okay,
some more structured guidance without it being dogmatic, I thought, because, and I do, so in the way I viewed the seminar is we talked about what between the ears is, which I didn't really know actually what between the ears is until about a week ago.
Well, you didn't know the...
If someone were to say, hey, what's between the ears? What does it do? I would always be like, I don't know. Right. Meet me at wherever.
It changes. People are impacted, but I don't know.
Yeah, but some of it, and some of it's the elevator pitch stuff. Some of it's the this, and I always said it. And I throw up in my mouth every time somebody
That's
says.
Such a horrible thing to say.
What?
It turns your stomach. Be better.
No, you need to have the visual.
Okay, thank you.
I'm really turned off personally. I'm really turned off by the. What's your elevator pitch thing? And I understand its utility. I also see it all the time.
Well, that's what everything's boiled down to now on Instagram. It's a quick pitch.
Yeah, and I guess I still am sort of like anti just saying it is this. But again, to go back to the essence over form, there does need to be some sort of essence of it in a way that's understandable, digestible, and like, oh, okay. Because the other thing is like, if I say that and it's like, wow, yeah, that's what I'm interested in. That makes sense to me. I can relate to that. Or if I say or don't say something and someone's like, oh, cool, and it's really not for them. Somebody that just wants to like prove themselves to someone else other than themselves or do some hard shit. And like, there's value to all that stuff, but that's not the meat of what I'm...
Sure, and the other thing is what you came up with as a definition, it is a good way to kind of allude to like what it entails, but really the lecture, which was an hour long, it was, like the real, like it takes more than, it's just as an easy example, but like work capacity across broad time and modal domains, most people at the seminar, when someone says that, then you spend the What is Fitness lecture is a 45-minute lecture.
Right. It's
not just like, well, that's the definition, guys. Now we got it.
You gotta go into it.
Sure, but anyway. So I thought it was really awesome. I thought it was like one of the most valuable for me, like experiences to date I've had with Between the Ears, and of course on the other side. It was really awesome to see, as I said, like you've been reading books for years, of course. But some of these things, like what you read 2 years ago and you got like this one little puzzle piece. You've been like collecting these, it's like doing a massive jigsaw puzzle for 2 years or 4 years. Like who the frick has the patience for that? It almost makes me concerned that you're a little bit of a psychopath.
A little bit?
Wait a second. So, there's something a little
but there's
extreme
some of this
with
stuff,
some people.
But it's not, I would actually say, like, there's some stuff that it's been 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I learned 15 years ago a lesson I had no idea I'd learned. Right. And now I'm like, oh, shit.
That's like one of the pieces, yeah.
That's one of the pieces. So that's pretty cool.
So if you want to go see the picture... What the puzzle created. I think it'll be exciting.
But I think high level, went over what is between the ears. Within that is how there's some hardware, software, how we experience life. Some ways in which we can view ourselves, obviously, how we navigate. Then
what is mindset?
Did a deep dive into that.
Which really was cool because it was built on understanding some of the hardware that you talk about.
Yeah, so everything was layered on top. And then we did a workout, we went to lunch, came back, debriefed,
then
went
you
into
talked
the
about
process,
the
the Between the Ears process as like okay, I can implement this.
Yeah, which also, you've talked about that before, but I do think the value of everything you did in the morning helped.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like the process.
The other thing is the environment, the learning environment of the seminar is 100% critical, and I would say essential to just setting yourself up for success for that. So that's why I'm not going to put it online.
Right.
Someone actually asked me if I was going to make it like an online spyable thing, and like. I could probably make more money doing that, but I just feel like it would fall flat.
Well,
And
the
not
other thing
serve
is
the way I want to serve. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to host a seminar, let
Yeah.
me know. I'll come out.
I mean, that's
and
really
do
now
it. And
phase
so,
2 is working on getting out there.
Yeah. So wherever people, if you're listening and you're like, oh yeah, I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we
It's
can.
a small person seminar too.
Yeah. It's not
It's
a big.
intimate.
It's no more than 12 people.
The other thing about not being in person, one of the things that did happen, which is partly why I think you didn't record the second half of the day, there was very much some real-time coaching of people, the people there.
For sure. I didn't want to
So-
get that on camera.
Right. But that's not going to get captured in an online thing. So
No. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
for
So that was
sure,
good. I was really
that's,
happy about that. I actually really was. I feel relieved. I feel light. I
Good.
feel inspired.
I'm inspired.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
I also feel tired and sort of like hazy.
You
because
so
of
for
today's
people
workout.
that yes, well, but also like
I was exhausted.
you were
after.
exhausted.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows that Bill likes to read books.
That's
You do
right.
not like to watch TV.
No.
The fact that you entertained kind of binge watching.
Entertained. I
series.
didn't entertain it. I laid on my ass.
Okay, but I
It was
mean
up
that's
on my
the thing.
neck, as Nate would say.
You did it, and I was like, "This is amazing! I've got you for 4 episodes. I think we watched 4 episodes of a show, which is unheard of."
You
So
took advantage of my
I
weakness.
did, but that's how tired you were. It was
Yeah.
like you would like kind
On
of come
Monday.
to, and then
I was a
Yeah.
Monday. Because
well,
Sunday
you
I didn't
worked
take
out on
off.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
we say that to say yes, there were next step is expanding the reach of that
Yeah,
seminar.
and part of it too,
and-
just to is because I don't know, like there was information about obviously between the ears why it works, how it works, opening up space for real time. Like okay, that's all well and good, but like real time in person coaching, all the inputs that go into it, to arm and equip you with tools and strategies and
Yeah.
tactics and actionable shit. Because the whole premise of it is always, what are you going to do about this
Right.
stuff? And books are great, but they lack action. This podcast is great, but it's one way. It's an input. So the
well,
seminar,
even your events, as you've said, one of the challenges is they did have a tremendous impact, but it's fleeting. It's not so much learning a tool. You might have a realization, but that absent of how to carry forward now what to do with it, as you said, is actions are really so.
yeah.
But today, one of the things we're not talking more about the seminar necessarily,
No.
but one of the concepts I think that for sure came up, and something that I thought was a powerful point you made, was talking about choice, and that was as related to a couple of things, but I think that concept of agency, which we've talked
Yeah.
about on this podcast, but we've had some questions, people asking about that as it relates to workouts we program, fitness, obviously what we've been doing at the gym, our own life. So I think agency and
Yeah.
having a choice, that's a really powerful topic. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and agency is one of those things that it's sort of romantic, I think, in that like, oh, I have a choice and that's great. But like the flip side of that is it can be overwhelming for people when they have so many choices.
Right.
And it can also be a little bit of a mirror in terms of you have the choice of looking at something in your life and you're choosing not to. And when you see that, like when you see that you're not paying attention to what you know within yourself you need to. Sometimes you don't like what that looks like back. So, agency and choice is a huge topic, is a huge element of experiencing and extracting essence from whatever you're involved
Right.
in. And sometimes you feel like there's too many choices. And then other times you feel like you have no choice. And both of those you can understand and you can connect to if you just think for a second. When was the last time I was in a situation where I had what seemed to be unlimited choices and somehow couldn't select one.
And you've been there.
100%. I've been there.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you're like, all right, yep, I got that. Yeah, I know what that feels like. You can put yourself back in that. What about when you're in a situation where you feel like you have absolutely no choice?
Which, yeah, you've also been there.
Also been there. And that feels very, very different, but it's sort of that same, like, let's look at that. And we have to look at, like, okay, yeah, some of the stuff that leads up to that, for sure, but also, what's going on within those types of things. Like, do you really not have a choice?
Right.
Or do you really have unlimited choices? Because, and so then if you do, then, well, if you have unlimited choices, then frankly, the consequences probably aren't all that.
But if you have unlimited, that now begs the next, or leads to the next thing, which is like, the unlimited choices, as you say, leads to like paralysis by analysis, and probably that you're way over on like the rational side, and you're just not able to connect to like maybe like what's my gut, so to speak, saying.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other issue. But I think some of the questions that have come up to start with the low hanging fruit is like in fitness.
Yeah, for sure.
So a couple of people ask like, hey, how do you program the workouts? How do you decide what to do that day? And, while we've talked about it before, here and there, I think regardless of, I think one of the pitfalls that we've established is the perception that you don't have a choice in what you're doing. You come to the gym, and that could be any fitness form. It could be in a yoga class. I mean, I've been in yoga classes where it's like, well, this is what the person is telling me to do. Go through a vinyasa. And there's this feeling of like, well, I don't have a choice. That's what I'm being told to do. Versus like, nobody's going to come over and be you if you don't do the vinyasa. Same thing with CrossFit. You come in, today it says 8 rounds, this much on the bike, this many burpees, rest 2 minutes, you will complete it. But is that really, like kind of to your point, do you have a choice or do you not have a choice? And I think that then is the next question, like, well, what is the culture of your gym? What is your expectation of it? And how much do you want to have a choice? Because we know we've provided people choices and they don't always want a choice. And what's that about?
Yeah, I think when it comes to fitness, I just always kind of go back to, and like, what is the point? And that's not from a nihilistic perspective, but like, what is the point of this workout? And there's some workouts that, I'll just take CrossFit for example. What the fuck is the point of some of these workouts? Other than, like, because don't tell me it's about athletic performance and endeavors. Like, I struggle to find, like,
what's
the
an
point.
example?
Okay, what's an example? Snatch, handstand, push-up. Tell me what the point of that workout would be. Let's go 12-minute AMRAP, 3, 6, 9. 3 snatches, 6 handstand push-ups, 9 air squats.
What's the point of that workout?
What would the point of that workout be? That's like probably a classic workout, okay.
Well, I mean, I would say like, okay, the snatch, there's, there is some coordination there. There's some higher skill. There's explosiveness. You're moving a load from a fairly long distance. So that's going to elicit some intensity. Then you move to a handstand push-up where there's like, okay, now you're giving the lower body a break and you're doing some upper body pressing.
In addition to this
snatch. In addition to the snatch, so maybe there is some element of shoulder stamina there. You're pre-fatiguing your shoulders and now you have to do...
Why?
Which maybe work on shoulder stamina. Like, hey, if you get off the snatch and you can't do one handstand push-up, well, maybe your shoulder stamina sucks. So now you have to like maybe lower the weight or make a scaling to the handstand push-up. And then you get sort of a break from all that doing air squats.
Yeah, I just don't see the point in that.
But what do you mean? You don't see the point in it being like because it's just blasting your shoulders unnecessarily? Or...
No, it's that...
But what about for like, okay, so say this, for a games athlete, do you think there would be a point in that?
Of course.
Okay, so
And
you're
that's the
saying,
difference.
right, their intent is to prepare for the games where theoretically they need to gain every advantage on, like, if the workout was 1 rep max squat snatches and then max reps handstand push-ups to win the CrossFit games
Uh-huh.
and continue your career as an athlete,
Yeah.
then you need to train that fatiguing of the shoulders and
Yeah,
blasting
barbell
yourself.
cycling,
Okay, but you're
upside
saying
down push-ups.
for the average person that comes into the gym, the point of destroying your shoulders and potentially risking injury, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
Likewise. Back squat. Barbell back squat. What's the point? Let's say we have a 5x5 of barbell back squat. If you're going to tell me that the barbell is the only tool to develop athletic potential,
But that's not what people are doing it for in a CrossFit gym.
well,
Right, because, and to be quite honest, our
but here's the
gym-
deal. So, just like a games athlete, if the point of you doing barbell back squat is to focus on powerlifting competition, you generally just
Maximal
want to do
strength.
it, perhaps, however, when you look at
Right,
it.
but who are you talking about?
No, that's exactly the point, though.
Right.
So, who are we talking about?
Sure, but if we're
So-
talking about in a gym setting, which
Yes.
is not games athletes, which is not, most people are not preparing for a powerlifting competition. So the average person that's coming to a CrossFit gym,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one of the things I've had a problem with from the beginning, which is why, to be honest, we don't program 5x5 because true, like, okay, if you're saying that's like Wendler,
Yeah.
that program is to be done absent of anything else because, and that's like for people that know how to do 5x5, to throw 5x5 back squats with the barbell where people really don't even understand what they're doing and it's just surviving a movement that's not good for people. Yes, I agree, you've accomplished nothing. What would be good if you're trying to focus on strength for somebody? Can you feel like the contraction of your glutes doing like a hip thrust?
Well, you would focus on the person. That's I guess that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not about the movements. It's just like the movements obviously matter, but they don't matter. They matter to the right person. The needs of somebody, that whole like, oh, the needs of our athletes, differ by degree, not kind. That's poetic, but what does that look like? And so if we're saying like, oh, instead of doing a barbell back squat, do a sandbag.
Right.
Instead
Well, now though, that's that starts to put into question like, but then why can't I do a barbell back squat? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why are you telling me that I'm not good enough to do a barbell back squat?
Well, it
And I
depends.
look at all these other people; they're doing barbell back
Yeah,
squats,
they
and
sure are.
and there are gyms that
Are
will
they
not.
though? But that's the thing.
Right, but it's not. What's the point of this? But we've challenged people with that. But they do have even when people do have a choice in that.
So
They
that's
don't
the thing, though.
always-
So
their
that's what it
choice
gets
gets
back to.
influenced
That's
by
where
it.
it gets back to agency. Why are you choosing to do this? And
Sure.
like,
And why would you say in our gym? Because we are a gym that give people options. And we
yeah.
highly encourage for many people that we know that back squat is not safe, it's not effective, it's not really doing jack shit for them other than potentially injuring them.
Mm-hmm.
We highly encourage an alternative. Now, why would someone, if we're saying, hey, this would be a safer, more effective option, this would actually get you stronger, fitter, better body, whatever all those things are, why would someone then still pick the barbell?
Because they don't have agency in their experience. They haven't given it the time. They don't know why they're there. They have their awareness is essentially absent of what the point of them coming to the gym is.
So it's kind of like the photocopy. They're coming because, like,
They're coming.
They're a photocopy of I know this place will help me get fitter.
Mm-hmm.
If I do the things that these people are doing and follow the steps, I'll get fitter. But they're not at a point where they can make their own, they can have agency in their own choices. They're like, is that what you're saying?
Right. What I'm saying is like, Somebody that comes in and says, hey, I want a back squat today. And we're like, all right, cool. Talk to me about why that's important. And they're like, well, I want to learn the skill. I'm like not really familiar with the barbell. I heard it's good for, muscle development. It's like, yeah, right on. Those are all right answers. Cool. Where are you at now? Have you ever back squatted before? Have you ever done anything? How are your shoulders? How are your ankles? How are all of that stuff? And it's like, great. If the back squat is then, if the barbell back squat or the snatch or the sandbag, like any movement, really. If it has a certain degree of skill associated with it, which the barbell is the highest skill implement, then depending on where you're at, we need to look at what it's like to get you to that point.
Right.
And that might be like looking at some split squats, looking at your ability to lunge, looking at can you actually hinge, looking at all of the things.
Right.
But we don't really do that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You don't do that in CrossFit. It's just not part of the thing.
The back squat is often one of the fundamental movements that get taught in people when they do foundations. It's a foundational movement. I mean, that's really the reality. There's, we are putting people like my mother under a bar and we're reducing the load, but then that too, but then how is that getting her fitter? Her putting a 15-pound bar on her back and learning the skill of a movement like that. How, is that in line? And maybe
but that's the thing. Maybe it is.
Right, maybe it is.
And for your mom, I would say no, doesn't.
Sure.
Whatever. But why is somebody working out? Do you view yourself as training? And not to get into the whole training versus working out thing, but why are you going to the gym?
Yeah.
What are you looking to get out of it? And for some people who are like, I'm looking to get out of it high level physical performance, okay, great. We can have that conversation. And please have a reason. If someone's coming yeah, honestly, I want to move. I know it's healthy for me. I'm interested in longevity.
Yeah,
I want to feel
here's
better.
The problem. People generally, when they come in, if we ask them, what are you looking for? Sure, this was a really great way to get fit. I'm looking to lose a few pounds. I want to feel good.
Yeah.
Okay. Very few people come to us saying they want to be high level performing athletes. We have a very few amount of people that.
Yeah.
The problem though is even the people that are saying, hey, listen, I just want to get fit, whatever, just want to move, they still are attached to, they have a very hard time with that. I think for a lot of people, agency or choice, they view it as I can't trust myself to know what's right for me. So for us in the gym, how we structure things, okay, hey, so let's take today as an example, today's workout. And one of the flaws in the model, as we've said, is by way of saying Monday is this workout, Tuesday is that workout, and we program for the week. But we also, yesterday, before 9 a.m., what did we say? There were 45 people that came through the gym? In the three classes?
Yeah.
Those 43 people, are we really saying that they all are coming in on a Tuesday ready to have the same experience? They're all in the same kind of place.
Highly unlikely.
Right, it's highly unlikely based on how they slept, how they're eating, where they're at, all these things. But we're saying, nope, today is this kind of workout.
Yeah.
So now we're saying, hey, you as an individual, based on why you're here, what you need, where you're at today, you should have some choice in how you approach this workout. Yesterday was a 30-minute, every minute on the minute, 1 minute of step-ups, 1 minute of rowing, 1 minute of kettlebell swings. That can go so many ways. It could be a straight through, super kind of steady state flow. You do a light swing, you're moving the whole time, nose breathing. You could have gone for another 30 minutes, really. It could be you work out like a maniac for 30 seconds and you rest. You could turn into a sprint. You could turn the step-ups into hey, I'm going to really focus on the step-up and get some connection with the glutes there, and then I'm going to go easy on it. But what's keeping people then from making that choice? is one question, versus just like, I don't know, just tell me what to do. The second question is, not every workout in CrossFit can be, changed. I mean, Diane, it's very hard to make Diane a different workout. So there's like two things going on. One is people being able to say like, yes, I'm gonna like have agency in like what I need today. How do I even know what that is? Make a choice. And two, for what about all the other workouts that aren't as easy to like change and adapt?
Yeah, so I mean, you're right. I think again though, it does come back and down to why are you coming into the gym? Why are you training? Why are you exercising? Diane, to slam a barbell against the ground, to do a deadlift, 45 deadlifts, 45 handstand push-ups in less than 3 minutes. Like, what is the purpose of that workout? Now, if it's a test, great. But like when we then look at how were those deadlifts performed, people that are doing it in less than 3 minutes, that weight is super, super light, and they're just bending forward.
Right.
I'm sorry, for a games athlete, yeah, you need to be able to do that. For a normal person who doesn't come in, even for some of these fitness or for some of these weekend competitors, it's like, that's fine. If you're willing to say that your weekend is going to be dedicated to competing at local competitions and whatever, then right on. Why? And then look at that. So
sure. Well, and you might also have to recognize that longevity piece might not actually be in your future.
Yes.
Because there's a price to pay.
Yeah. And so where I'm interested in looking at with agency though, and I think that the fitness stuff it can get a little bit, there's a million schools of thought. I don't like fast deadlifts. Like by that I mean high rep deadlifts. I like a fast, aggressive pull, a deadlift there.
Right, and
But I like it all just to be controlled back on the ground,
so like
reset, and go.
1 minute of max reps deadlifts is where you're just bending over and picking the bar up.
Yeah.
It's really not, there's not a...
For me,
yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I also, it's the same way. I'm also not interested in the whole highlight reel peacocking kind of look at me stuff. So that's going to be some of that. And so there are feats of athleticism that are expressed via competition that are great, that you can do that with, if that's what you want to be. I think the thing is that there are so few people who are willing to look at themselves and say, I am not that person. Right. I am not a person. I am not Matt Fraser. I am not Rich Froning. I am not Tia. I am not this person. And that's obvious because like there's but then there's also that of like, okay, bifurcating where you can still be influenced by them. What are you influenced by with a games athlete? Because their commitment, their dedication, there's a lot of positive traits that we know. So almost like all of them, and they're good people. Like we like them, they're friends. But like, what are you really influenced by them? Why is Matt Fraser, Rich Froning? Why are they so inspired?
Right, extracting that.
And if it's the fact that they can do 225 clean grace in 3 minutes, we're missing the point here. And then how can that inspiration influence you? And it's like, well, they're really dedicated, they work really hard, they focus on that. Great. Now apply that to the stuff that you need. Sure. And if what you need is to learn how to actually do an air squat or how to actually do a press or to actually use something, then let's do that. But like mimicking, and that's where it gets back to photocopying. Mimicking what someone else is doing is a voluntary relinquishing of your own agency.
Right. And when back to the example of the deadlifts, in a class setting, being able to say, hey, for me, like this, I know this isn't good for me. I know that it's not good for my back. I can't do that. And very few people have a very hard time with that choice.
Yeah.
and the influence. And so then you add in, of course, in our gym, like we really don't, I hope one of the things we pride ourselves on is not adding any of that pressure by coaches. But there are gyms where the coaches actually try to bully people into, hey, RXs, to go harder.
Yeah.
So we're kind of the exception in that, and there's enough pressure from the other people, from inside that person's head, but certainly that's one of the roles of the coach, to kind of help have that person, empower them to make their own choice and things.
Right.
But so to get back to the workout question, you know, simple things like, hey, I know my shoulder like has been a problem for me, so today, like, my choice should probably not be butterfly pull-ups, or maybe it just should be strict pull-ups or ring rows. Same thing with like, hey, I know my back, like that's an issue. So having some agency and choice in those things, how you approach the workout.
Right. And yeah.
And then the other things that definitely get a little bit more challenging is, you know, connecting with like your brain and how you actually feel, to say like, yeah, like we all, figuring out like maybe I just don't have it today to like really go there. And just kind of making those choices as well. Now that's a little bit harder to navigate, and especially if all you've known is just going there, go hard, go hard, go hard every single day.
Right, and that's what I think that we have to look at, be like, why? And not in a like, why am I doing this? Kind of annoying little kid way, but like, hey, why are you exercising? Mm-hmm. Why are you training? Why are you thinking that, well, and if it's like, well, because someone said, okay, who said? Is there a different way?
The current state of fitness is more intensity is better.
A 14-minute AMRAP and a 20-minute AMRAP are pretty much the same thing. Mm. Now look, I get it. You can go harder in a 14-minute thing. 20 minutes, you got to pace a little bit more. But if you just stop stop doing math for a second and say, well, 20 is greater than 14. Your system, your body is pretty much, especially with all the movements where you're not actually continually working for that long. Mm-hmm. You're taking rests, you're taking breaks, depending upon the skill, there's this, there's that. It's the same thing. So what I think that's frustrating is like when we don't look at the why and the purpose of the workout or the training or the programming from a general population, sort of like, yep, you want to feel good, you want to move well, you want to exercise, like you want to have this like a good mental, physical, emotional kind of a thing here. Just saying like, oh, I did a 14-minute and a 20-minute. You did the same thing. You did the same thing. And so that's where like the variance comes in too within CrossFit, and it's like, right, so you did the same thing there. Today is going to be, you have 5 minutes at most. Your workout's going to be 5 minutes at most. Now, sure, you're going to warm up, you're going to do whatever, but it's going to be 5 minutes, you know? And then another day, it's going to be like a 45, you're going to barely warm up because it's 45 minutes. You can only go there. And so, like, looking at that stuff, but because of the constant variance, I think people buy into thinking, I'm doing something differently.
Right, just because the movements are changing and there's like a 7 instead of an 8 after the 1 in terms of how long you're going for, that doesn't necessarily
your body, your system, how you work, how you operate, and you know, ask someone, hey, what's the purpose of this workout? And if you're at a normal CrossFit gym, you're gonna get an answer that is steeped in surface level explanation. Sure. Not in actual
and it's also the workout. Steeped in the assumption that it's for a games athlete. Just like I answered your question with the snatch, that is rooted in like for a competitive purpose, and an athletic, like I'm training for something. But I think for people as a takeaway, having in the course of a week, being able to choose and say like, okay, a general variety looks something like, like today was a higher intensity day. There were intervals of like bikes and burpee, no skill, just all out. Obviously, there were rounds, so that kind of depends on the person. Like someone could choose to just destroy themselves in 3 rounds and then be done. And arguably, like, yes, that would be more intense than if that person paced a little bit and did 8 rounds. So clearly there's a choice there. But generally speaking, having a choice for like, yes, today I'm going to go really hard, crazy. One day I'm just going to kind of be middle of the road. One day I'm going to take it easy. Like being able to navigate through what you need, not just like fitting into the hole that's been created and that's all you got for that day. So
right.
when we program, as per one of the questions, is like I do the programming. It is highly influenced by many things. Everything we've learned from StrongFit, everything you've been doing. CrossFit. It's a myriad of like things that go into one, yes, having some variance of what's like what to your point, like is it a 40-minute workout, is it a 5-minute workout? Having very different energy systems, not just 14-minute AMRAP, 20-minute AMRAP. It does look a lot like aligning on the really intense days, those being aligned with low skill, because we know the lower the skill, the higher the intensity can go. It does look like programming at least a handful of workouts that could go one of two ways. Could kind of go in a sprint way, could kind of go in a steady state, so that there is an opportunity for people to come in and have a little choice. And then there's days where it's really focused on, like, generally speaking, muscular contraction. Like, that's good for everybody. Like, you can kind of be in different places on that day and have still connect to muscles. And it's not the same as, like, the difference of, like, going really easy or going, like, balls to the wall. So that's kind of how we program. It's not as simple as, like, down the checklist of, like, well, we did snatches. I mean, that is at one point how we did. Like, just do all the movements. We've evolved past that. Like, it's beyond just, like, making sure. Now, we do look over the course of a couple weeks to make sure we are getting different movements in there.
Yeah.
It would be remiss to just only program. Nobody, because people are coming in to get fit and also enjoy what they're doing.
Sure.
It might be effective to have a month of, like, hey, we're really focusing on burpees and box jumps.
Yeah.
People would be, after a week, be like, oh my God, I don't want to do any more burpees
because
and box
that's
jumps.
the thing
They're
too,
not
though.
training.
But that's the thing, they're not training.
Right.
They're not training.
It's
You're
we want to have fun and exercise. So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how we program. Generally, I do the programming. You take a look at it, and then we get in a fight, and then
it's better.
You've gotten better at just taking a look.
But I did the programming for a long time. Well, you did it, then I did it, then you did it, but now you do it because I'm.
Yeah, because you're not as involved. So I do feel like it's always helpful with anything to have somebody take a glance at it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, there's times where it's like, how did I miss that I programmed 2 days back to
the
back
challenge with the challenge is always that you're guessing.
Sure.
At the end of the day, it's a guess.
Yep.
And so when we put the programming up, we program for 7 days.
Yep.
We look at that week, but we have no idea when you're coming.
Yeah.
We have no idea how you're coming. So the program, and that's why we always say, like, look, we write it up on the whiteboard, which gets erased at the end of the night. In fact, I can change the workout. We have the power of God and Expo. It's a dry erase marker. It can change. So, like, it is just a starting point for a conversation.
But that's so hard for people to get.
But I understand that. But I'm just saying, but that's the thing. But you know what? Then what else are you choosing not to have agency with in your life? And okay, whatever. Don't go all, philosophical on me.
It's just so organized.
But okay, thousands of athletes we've seen, hundreds of people we work with, and more so now on an individual level. Like, don't tell me that, like, we've worked with a lot of people and see, and if you start to just kind of be like, hey, check it out. If you're having a hard time coming up with, like, what you need today, does that happen anywhere else in life?
Well, but here's the thing. People want to play both sides. The old thing used to be who you are in CrossFit is who you are in life. So then if we're saying, like, okay, yeah, that's an indicator. So you not having a choice and you just being told what to do. It's like, oh, yeah, well, not that. It's like, well, yes, that too. Like, how many other things? I think it comes down to the compartmentalization of it. So, like, if you just compartmentalize your workout and it's just like, oh, that's just, like, what I do with my body over here. And, like, yeah, just tell me what to do. It's like, okay, same thing with food. Just tell me what to eat. Just tell me how much to eat. Like, after many, many years, what I can certainly say is that does not work. Okay. So, but, you know, that's part of it. People just tell me what to do at work. At some point, I think that will fail people. You might be able to ride it out for a while.
Yeah.
But at some point, it is going to seep into, like, feeling like you're just being told what to do all the time. Like,
well, if you're always being told what to
do,
also, and what drives me nuts. So, and there's a real world story. So I'm not going to use any names. There was a friendly fire incident, which means one of our own killed our own, and took fire from a ridge top. It's not like in the movies, so you have no idea where anything's coming from. Young kid on a gun, machine gun. Squad leader comes over, team leader comes over, who's like basically the judge and jury, and in regular life, back at base and everything, like, yeah, this dude is going to crush your life, so you do what is told. Yeah. Tells the guy, look, send rounds up there. All right, right on. Just send rounds up there. Now, here's the deal. It is not a good idea to engage a target that you don't know what the target is. Well, what's the kid going to do? He's going to do what he's told. And it wound up being a friendly. And and that happens so often. That happens more than we want to admit. And so the point is, and that's obviously an extreme example where hopefully, thankfully, nobody really has to confront that. But like, just doing what you are told, you're going to miss out on possibly the most important reason for the action that you're going to do in the first place. And so that's what we mean with agency. Yeah. And if that is so hard, all right, that's okay.
Practice it in an environment like the gym. How great a place to start.
What a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's okay if you suck at something. Yeah. If you expect to be great at something when you've never done it, we have to talk about our expectations. The fact that you can identify, I'm kind of uncomfortable with this, I don't know, I feel a little bit lost. Good, now we're learning something. Because otherwise, it's just, you're just doing what you're told, and then you're subject to, what's this person's deal telling
But kind
me?
of your point in the beginning about, like, the awareness of, part one is having the awareness, like, wow, I am choosing not to look at something. Because then it's like, okay, step one. I wanna figure this thing out. Like, tell me how to figure out, like, what I need today. Okay, so we're gonna look at, like, how do you feel? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, a lot of people have no idea how they feel, meaning emotionally, physically, what are the physical sensations? You asked people at the seminar to identify, like, how do you physically feel? And it was really interesting to see that people really struggle to just say currently, like, currently I feel like my stomach is a little, I'm not sure if I'm hungry, there's a little bit like discomfort there, I don't know what it is. Like, they're saying, like, I feel good, I feel like I worked out yesterday, like, not like I feel itchy, my face is itchy. And that takes practice. And then emotionally, like, I feel tired. So, but then a lot of people get uncomfortable with that, and now they're making a choice to just, like, I don't want to go there. I think we've talked about kids, and people have asked about, that's come up, or parenting, or, we're in a town where there's been, in the past year, in the surrounding towns, 10 suicides. Yeah. Kids that are in the 15 to 17 age range. Yeah. And, one of the things that I really value in, like, your parenting with the kids is the agency piece. Okay, great. Like, just regurgitating what you're learning in school, or why are we telling you to put your shoes away, or why are we talking about this, is, like, really important. Not just do what we're saying. Yeah. And I'm not saying that there's, like, this leads to that, but I think the more agency and the more understanding and the why for kids, not just memorize and regurgitate, and that's valuable for everybody. And you can start that. Someone asked about food. Step one with, like, the kids and food is, like, and it's not an immediate thing. Like, you tell your kids, this is healthy for you, this is not healthy, and they're like, okay, got it. Like, I won't want to eat ice cream anymore. But it's a process to involve and have them make choices, and the why. But it is way easier to just have it be like, just because I said so.
Yeah, I would rather have someone, myself included, temporarily suck at something, and that temporary nature could be years, that I am choosing to do because it matters to me, and I can identify something within it that's like important in my life.
Yeah.
I would rather suck at that than be really good at something I have really no idea about.
Sure. Well, you're describing like, not to, but I do think we have a lot of people in that space of how we view coaches, how we view CrossFit, how we view food. I mean, I wasn't Tia Claire Toomey. I was good, generally speaking, at CrossFit. And not say that it was all like, and I didn't even know why I was doing it, but like today, I'm still sucking at making choices for myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it does feel better than just what it felt like to realize, like, shit, for 10 years I just did what was on the paper or did whatever because, I don't know, just do it. And so I'm practicing that. But the days that you're like, but that's where, too, people, a really good coach and isn't, I think sometimes people are like, well, if you're not telling me what to do, then maybe you don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, no. The people that are telling you precisely what to do, all they're telling you is their projection of them. It's hard to be a client where you have to do the work, but it's you who wants to get where you're going. How the hell am I going to tell you how you feel today? But it's much easier for your trainer to say, do 3 sets of 12, da, 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 da. I mean, sure, structure is good, but if your trainer, your coach is telling
but there's also that thing, if you're like, hey, look, I don't know. I don't have decades of athletic performance and coaching.
As a client.
As a client. Yeah. I don't have that.
Sure.
You do. Can you be my coach?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Yeah. It's like, hey, look, you can't just be like, hey, man, do what your heart desires.
Here's the guidelines.
So there's that balance between, like, look, needs to be this. And then it's always a thing, too, like, and this is someone everybody can ask themselves, how interested are you in actually learning?
Right.
And if you're not interested in learning, okay. But let's just have an honest conversation about it. And so if you're interested in learning and you're in a non-learning environment where it's just pointy talky, do this, do that, follow orders, at a certain point, like, that's probably going to run its course. Can you get fitter as a result of it? Yeah, of course. You can get fitter as a result of a lot of stuff, which is amazing about that. When you're like, no, this is the way to get fit. It's like, really?
Right.
How about these other ways? So I think the thing with agency really is that it's not an absolute. There's not a right answer. But you have to start asking the question about, like, what do I want to get out of this? And, this goes, we talked about the gym and fitness, obviously, because that's pretty much what we're in. But good Lord, this applies to relationships so much.
Yeah.
And that's a scary one when you start brushing up against limiting beliefs, interpretations, pressures, the way things always were. Like,
well, you also have a choice, and you have a choice too. And I mean, to your point about yesterday's, your post yesterday, like, I'm gonna be right. Like, when you're having a shitty day and you're pissed off at everybody, like, okay, you're gonna be right. Like, you have a choice in that. Great. Okay. I mean, if you want to choose to do that, then, and that's sometimes really frustrating because sometimes it doesn't feel like that. It's like, no, my body right now, every ounce of me is telling me, like, you're just gonna be fucking pissed off.
Well, the thing about that, and I wasn't sure how to articulate this in an Instagram post. You actually don't want to be right. Like, you want the fight more than you want them to be right. Like that. You want the fight more than you actually want the solution.
Right.
And I've been.
Right.
I've been there 100. Like, no, I just want to be entrenched and just fight. I don't give a fuck about the solution.
Sure.
I just want to fight.
Right.
And it's like, holy crap! What if you were just be like, "Yep, hey, you're right." And it's like, can you breathe now? Can you holster your stuff? Can you, like, stop gritting your teeth and unclenching your fist? Can you please just do that? You're right. And it's like, looking at that and being like, if you just say to yourself, yes, you are right, or if you envision someone else saying you are right, with everything you're saying, are you going to keep going on?
Well,
Are
but
you
that's
gonna
like,
keep
even if it's
beating
not
that
with
drum?
yourself, we've been in arguments before where it's like, okay, you're right, but you still somehow want to keep going, and it's
Right.
like, but
Right.
okay, like I already said, like, you're right, I was wrong,
And it's like,
why are you continuing?
but it's also, well, anyway, that's a different time.
Did we answer though the questions that were relative to this? Because there was one about who programs.
When programming,
others
do you
like-
program for the whole week or each individual workout?
We
Both.
say yeah.
When we do one-on-one programming with people, we change it so it's not just
Yeah,
on Monday do this, Tuesday do
right.
that. There's programmed into it
Customize
is
it.
agency.
Yeah.
High level overview of the seminar, key
Okay.
takeaways for you as a coach. Yeah, I kind of talked about that. How do you and Cariana decide what to program week to week? Do you take turns? I think we kind of addressed that. There was one other one in here. Why can't I find it? Are you still offering one-on-one coaching? Yes, I am. Not that many. Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, so I think
That's
that
it.
was good. And what do we have coming up? I feel like I did this weird thing of like, we were sitting here in December talking about the seminar, February 8th, but now that's done. Yeah, ending my women's group.
Yeah, that's been
The
cool.
last week, talk about having agency. They will have agency in their last workout. And then we do still have something kind of you have something kind of big coming up in the summer, but still holding off on that.
Yeah.
Let the suspense build a bit. But hopefully gonna have another between the year seminar somewhere else coming up. There's a couple that we have in the works. But that's it.
Should I do another practice? I don't know. Someone asked me about. Someone
Maybe you
just
can.
reached
Yeah.
out.
You had said you weren't going to do another group, but for sure, I think there's people looking for another group, and you still have 2.0 to
2.0
launch.
is actually
So.
further along than I thought because it's not going to be 3 months.
Yeah, it's going to be short.
It's going to be 2 months. Yeah, it'll be 2 months. So
Cool.
2.0, but that'll only be available to
People who graduated from 1.0.
people who have done 1.0. Yeah. So
Alright.
yeah, that's it.
Good.
So I guess maybe if we give a little bit of a homework or a takeaway, let's go. Obviously, like consider how much just consider agency in your life, and also we didn't really get into the control thing, but there is so much you can't control.
Yeah.
Really, like there really is so much you can't control. It would behoove us to control the things we can.
Right.
But yet we relinquish that.
Right. Yeah.
And it's kind of silly. And so control, look at that. So look at agency. And then from a workout standpoint, I challenge you to, over the course of the next week.
There's going to be barking dogs.
Yeah.
in a second.
I gotta get it. Over the course of the next week, ask yourself, what do I want to get out of this workout?
Cool.
And when you identify that, step into it and own it. Don't like half-ass it.
Right.
Like hit it aggressively. And if it's 30 minutes on the bike listening to your favorite music, great. If it's you're gonna go like a maniac, awesome. But just see what comes up there. See what comes up there, and then you can look for patterns. And you do that after you do that. If you do a month of that, you'll learn so much.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a good one.
Apparently, our mail lady was afraid of the dogs at the door, so I think she just put it on our patio.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty.
Good.
Well, that's
Enjoy
it.
the,
We'll talk next time. If you guys do have questions in between now and then,
or you want to
just
share what
message.
came up with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
that's
cool.
cool.
That'd be cool. Let us know. What do you got? What'd you learn? And have some agency in life. All right, cool.
Puppies, you did so well.